In the Dirt with Robert Dalton. Brought to you by
What's up, race fans? Welcome to In the Dirt. My special guest today, the one and only, the Herminator, Kenny Wallace.
Good to see you, buddy.
Hey,
how you doing?
I'm good. I tell you what, I'm kind of starstruck right now.
Oh, stop it now, stop it.
Getting you on the show. I got to talk with you a little bit last night, and now I got you on my show.
Yeah.
So it's an honor and a privilege. I'm glad you joined us.
Thank you.
Some of the questions that I want to know and the fans at home want to know is, how did you get into racing?
Well, my dad, Russ Wallace, my dad raced for a hobby around St. Louis, and then, you got three boys. You got my brother Rusty, Mike, and myself, and I always tell everybody that if your dad fished, most likely the kids were going to go fishing with the dad. So my dad raced for a hobby, and we grew up and we just started racing, and my brother Rusty kind of got it perfected. He got really good at it. We started building our cars, and so Dad started it.
So it's all thanks to Dad.
Oh yeah, and and it's no different than Terry Phillips here. I'm just trying to compare, to where people can understand it around this area. Terry Phillips became a racer because his dad Larry was a racer.
Yep.
So same with us, and I think Rusty was definitely responsible for taking it to where he did. I don't know if we would be racing right now if Rusty didn't go as far as he went, because it inspired my brother Mike. It inspired me to keep racing. He's like, we can make a living doing this, when we did. And it's, racing's been really good to us.
So you're number 36. Is there a meaning behind it? How'd you pick it, or is it just random?
Yeah, not 100 miles from here, Rolla, Missouri. We lived in Rolla from 1963 to 1970, and my dad drove a number 36 for a guy named Lee Lutz, and it was sponsored by Blades Shoe Shack on Main Street in Rolla. And if you ever look at any old pictures, Dad's in the Ozark, Hall of Fame. My dad run number 36, and so it became my number because of all types of fun reasons. I was born in '63, so that's backwards. My mom said, "You're the third son, Rusty, Mike, and me, that's three, and you're the sixth racer." I said, "Okay, I'll go with you, Mom." So it was my dad and my mom ran Powder Puffs, my uncle Gary, Rusty, Mike, and me. So just some fun numbers, but I really took a liking to number 36 just because it was my dad's number. Back in the 60s, 65, 66, 1965, 66, and we got plenty of pictures to show that number 36.
That's awesome. It's a beautiful car. You've got an extensive racing career. You've raced all over the country. Do you have a favorite track that sticks out in your mind?
Well, the right answer is the next track. So right now, my favorite track in America is, Jerry Hoffman's Springfield Raceway, right? It is a beautiful racetrack. Well balanced, pretty much the same on both ends, and, all lanes are fast. But I would have to really say, in dirt racing, I'm not a dirt racer. I started dirt racing, run thousands of asphalt races, and I started dirt racing at 44 years old. I'm 60 now. So I started at 44, and where I really learned to go was Volusia, for speed weeks. It was where I could go. We run 8 nights, and I could learn my craft every night. Think, I did this last night. Okay, come back and go the other night. And so Volusia is really that track where I went, this is where I really learned how to race. So Volusia means a lot to me. I really do like our home track at Kenny Schrader and Ray Mahler's track off I-55 Peevely. It's kind of a miniature Springfield, smaller than this. And so those two tracks really stick out for me.
So last year at the Gateway Nationals, you had an iconic transfer win.
Yeah.
And you did the Ric Flair up on top of the roof and the dome in front of everybody.
Yeah.
If you park it in Victory Lane this weekend at the 17th Annual Turkey Bowl, are you going to do that again?
Hey, listen, I always tell everybody you cannot go wrong doing Ric Flair. So the dome in St. Louis, that was a shock to me. I know it was only a B main. But, what happens is you know, like the late models this year at the Dome, there's 140 entered.
Yep.
They only start 20.
Yeah.
So it ain't like just making the A main. Like making the A main at, you know, the Dome is like finding a diamond in the rough. It's extremely hard. Anything can go wrong. It's a bull ring. Actually, you got a better chance of not making it than making it.
Yeah.
So I lined up for, they didn't call it a B main, they called it win and you're in. So there was no running second.
Yeah.
You had to win it. And, but what I had failed to recognize was that day there was no action going on. And I won the race, and I heard the people through my helmet, through my earplugs. I'm like, oh my God, that must have been a big deal. So I thought to myself, well, I'll do Ric Flair. Because it's a theatrical race,
Yep,
you know.
it is.
So
that was an iconic thing. That's something that, you know, everybody's going to remember.
Yeah.
You up on the roof doing the Ric Flair at the Dome. So that's something that, you know, I enjoyed watching it on TV. I didn't get to witness it in person, but I was definitely cheering for my seat.
well, you know, I just want to say this. I didn't mean for any of that to happen. It was just a moment in time. It just happened.
Yeah.
And it you know, it just fell in all our laps, everybody's. You know, it entertained the race. I passed on the last lap. We win the race. You know, and so yeah, thanks. As long as it helped the event moving forward, you know, that's really what it's all about.
Yep. Well, last thing I got, you want to give a shout out to anybody?
Yeah, I just want to thank Jerry Hoffman, longtime friend of ours, and you know, as racetracks close down throughout America, because we are becoming an extinction.
Yep.
You know, there's not very much dirt. Now, listen, dirt racing is strong for big races, Eldora, Knoxville, but for tracks like this to still be going, you know, Jerry could have easily sold out years ago. This would be where buildings would be. So this racetrack at Springfield, you know, they want the land right now.
Yep.
But he's kept racing alive. So I just want to give a shout out to Jerry Hoffman for keeping dirt racing alive in Springfield. And thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for doing what you do for racing.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the Herminator, Kenny
Woo!
Wallace.